So, welcome back to Murder Therapy with Dolltok.
Murder.
We are now officially, everybody loves when Ashley does that. Well, at least that's what you all tell me. But if you need her to stop, you can tell me that too. It's totally fine.
It's my Austin Powers.
It is your Austin Powers. I like it. We are now officially on episode 6.
Yes.
I'm super excited about that. I know. We are almost to 100 followers on YouTube. So next week, by the time that you guys are listening to this, hopefully we will hit that goal.
I hope.
Yeah, I know. So make sure you guys are following the social media pages. If you scan this QR code, I don't know why I wanted to call it a barcode just now. But if you scan the QR code, it's supposed to bring up the link tree with all the links. So make sure you guys are following it because we do want to do giveaways and stuff in the future. But you ain't going to know that that's going on if you ain't following the shit.
I know you all saw those murder or the serial killer ornaments. I mean, it could be along those lines.
Oh, man. I know they're over here.
The sky's the limit.
I keep saying I'm going to put my serial killer Christmas tree because I still have it up. But I keep saying that I'm going to take it to work and put it in my office. But my office, like, it looks like a tornado went through it because obviously the criminal population keeps me really busy. Yeah. And most of my criminals don't have just like one charge here and there. It's like go big or go home. So their files are like this thick and they're like all over my desk.
I was gonna say,
I don't really have room.
My coworker that I made him for originally, that you jumped on, she's got him like everywhere all over her office.
I love that so much. Yeah. So we want to do things like that. The serial killer ornament.
We can make anything. Ryan's got presses for all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Well, I don't know that everybody has got to see the picture thing that Ryan generated for us for our icons for Spotify. I don't know if they've got to see that yet or not, but I would like to put that on a shirt. I think that'd be a really cool shirt.
That would be cool.
Or yeah.
We'll have to share that. We definitely will. If you watch it on Spotify, I don't know that I saw it on Spotify. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I don't think it got on there. I didn't see it. No. So I'm a terrible podcaster that I haven't even downloaded Spotify to listen to my own podcast on there yet. But I know
I've listened to every episode on every resource so far. So
I have watched it on YouTube. But I need to download Spotify. There's some of my coworkers. Shout out to my coworkers. They've been waiting for it to get on Spotify and they downloaded it, and when they showed it to me, I didn't see it. I've showed a couple people at work, and they were like, "That's badass," and I love it, and I think it would be really cool to put on a hoodie and all the things. All the things.
I agree.
So merch in the future.
Yeah. Wait until you guys see it. It's really cool. He generated it with AI, and it just like made it, and it's really cool. We'll definitely get it up on Spotify. I think he had it uploaded. We did a whole thing where we paid for a subscription to upload to like everything. And that's what took 3 weeks that we were talking about last week. And it kicked it back and refused to post anything. I don't know why.
I don't know why I don't know why it kicked it back. But yeah. So if we're not going to go that route, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take
We just uploaded directly to Spotify. We'll get it up there. But it sounds great on Spotify. So
yeah, so if video is not your thing, that's okay. You can go on there too.
Listen to us while you're driving.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Shout out to Jennifer, one of the psychologists that I work with. She listens to us on the way to work.
Aw, thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, I know. Jennifer's great. We've got, I've got great coworkers. I've got great family. We've got great friends that's been following us, and a lot of my TikTok followers have been spreading the word about it. So, and that makes me happy because this has been something I've been wanting to do for a while now. And I anticipate more things with Dolltok to grow. I'm not going to talk about what I've been talking about, but there is more coming. So keep following because if you're not following those pages, you're not going to know of these things that's about to explode. That's the only word. I don't know why I say it like that, but that's about to explode in a good way. It's going to be a pretty explosion, not like a a dark, nasty explosion.
An explosion of confetti.
Yes. Well, that's what I say on my live stream all the time is we spread kindness like confetti.
Yes.
So. Yes. So, I'm going to do it again because we were trying to do something earlier and we had technical issues. But Ashley's son, Jay, I just like to see her get in her feels about it. That's really mean of me. But he went on his first date this past weekend.
I'm not ready for this time in his life. He's 14. He'll be 15 on Christmas Day. And he had an 8th grade farewell dance because he's getting ready to be a freshman. And he met a girl there. He spent his hard-earned money on white roses and her favorite energy drink, and then bought her Saturday night tickets to go see Beauty and the Beast at the high school. And they just went them too. And then he was with her Sunday. He's with her right now, with her and her mom. So I think this might be his first serious relationship.
I could tell when we were on the phone earlier talking, and I was like, "Did you get a kiss?" And he's like, "No." But I got the next best thing. I got a hug. And Ash was like, "You said you went to second base? What?"
I heard second, and I was like, "Excuse me?" And then he finished. I was like, "Okay." And he was so
that's
cute.
Not what he said.
Yeah.
He did not say anything about second base, but yeah, I think it's precious.
Yeah.
But my cute. Mom of the year thing this morning.
Yes. Which kid got traumatized?
Well, Colin did. So, if people were in my live stream last night, so understand the date today is May the 1st. You will not be listening to
It's gonna be May.
Yes, it's gonna be May. But last night, so something happened for some ungodly reason. When my fucking power goes out, for some reason, something happens with my water. Don't know why those two things are correlated with one another.
Weird.
Whatever. Yeah, it is. It's super weird. So Nathan texted the landlord, and he's like, "I will get it back on first thing in the morning." Okay. Mind you, Colin had baseball practice last night. Colin is also going through the changes, and I've been on to him about his skin because he's breaking out, and his hair. If he doesn't if he doesn't take a shower every day, it looks like he hasn't showered in a month of Sundays. But it's just he's going to be that kid that really struggles with oil and stuff.
No.
So I'm like, he can't go to school like that because kids are mean, and it's not his fault that the water's not working. So I get him up at 6:30 this morning, as if that's bad enough, because he usually doesn't get up till about 7. And I'm like, I'm going to help you wash your hair, and I'm going to have to use water bottles. Cold water bottles. Oh. Yeah, I know. And so I did this, and when I got to work, I didn't think about it. Why didn't I boil the water? Warm it up. But he was like, I can't wait for Carson to go through this. And I was like, well, I'm more worried about your head than I am Carson's right now.
Oh God, I
know. So Colin got the cold water treatment at first thing this morning, and I'm sure he went to school and was like, my mom is the worst.
I'm jealous that you get up so late. I get Jaden up it's pushing it. I get him up at 6, and okay, I snooze my alarm until 6:20, but it goes off at 6.
Okay.
And he has to be out the door at 6:40 to catch the bus. So
why?
That his first bell rings at 7:30, I think.
Gross.
Yeah.
No.
And then
we don't do that.
High school's even earlier. So
maybe it's because I'm in the farming land, and all these farmers are, kids are out.
They gotta do stuff.
They got to do stuff, and maybe that's why. I don't know. That's weird. Side note, as also, I'd like to bring up, because we've been keeping track of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her bullshit that she's doing all the time. And I know, well, I keep saying it in the hopes that maybe she'll listen, although deep down I know that she's not. But if you guys watched it, and she's really relevant right now because, this is like an every week thing, and she loves to stay in the spotlight. She's made that very evident, and it's so it's just so obvious that like she has her stepmother in the background snapping pictures to send to fucking TMZ for her. Like you can't make that any more obvious. But her and the ex fiance are officially publicly announcing their relationship together. There's been photos released of them smooching. Gag me with a spoon.
Smooching.
Oh yeah, yeah. But what kills me is, you know, she's making these accusations that she left Ryan because what was it? Like he snored too loud and he hoarded food or some shit like that. That's what she said. And she's like, me and Ken are not together, and he is just my emotional support person. And it would be the same concept as me using my ex-husband as an emotional support person if me and Nathan were fighting. Like that doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever, like at all. And so they've made this announcement, and it's like, well, Gypsy, you didn't have to make the announcement. We all kind of knew, but thanks for confirming it. And it's like, little girl, do you not understand that you just sealed the fate for your divorce? Like, my haunted doll behind me could go and represent Ryan at this point and win that fucking shit in court for him. Like, just throwing that out there. So,
Lord.
You know, I know there's a lot of people that are very pro Gypsy, and they are very much, but look at her. She's so, you know, sweet and innocent and everything. Looks can be very deceiving. Mm-hmm. She's a master manipulator. And if it doesn't scare you that she is 100% an antisocial walking the streets, it should scare you. Because I think my prediction is, I'm not saying that she'll 100% murder somebody again, but I think that she will do something that will cause a big, bad aftermath, and I'll leave it at that.
Interesting.
Yes, that's my thoughts anyway. I mean,
interesting.
I think she's got this mentality that she can kind of get out of things with the abuse excuse. And granted, she did go through really, really bad trauma. I'm not neglecting that at all. She experienced things that no person should experience. But when you do the things that you do and you utilize the abuse as the reason for the behavior, that's not the reason for the behavior. You're just doing shady shit to do shady shit because you're a shitty person. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You know who else was a shitty person?
I gotta guess. And you know who else looked like they wouldn't be a shitty person? I love that you knew where I was going with that. Yeah.
My turn to segue. It just felt. It felt right.
Yeah.
It felt right.
Who was that person?
Well, see, you're gonna make me say it because we are debating on how to properly pronounce her name, and she tricked me into it. Tamara, we're not really sure how to pronounce it. Is it Samsonova?
I think so. Tamara Samsonova is what
we found multiple pronunciations. We did our research, but everybody pronounces it differently. So, but yeah, Samsonova, aka
the Granny Killer,
the Granny Ripper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Granny Ripper. Sorry, there is a Granny Killer.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I totally fucked that up. The Granny Ripper, and we'll explain here in a little bit why she has that nickname. Mm-hmm. We're traveling outside of the United States today. We're going to Russia, which I've just got to throw this in there that my mom, when I told her like we were covering a case that's in Russia, she was like scared to death. She's like, "Oh my God, I don't know that you should talk about Russia." And I'm like, "I'm not talking politics. I'm talking about a murder. I think I'll be okay."
We'll be all right.
I know. But then she was like, "I have a case suggestion," and it was something else that happened in Russia, and I'm like, I don't understand that that's also in that country, Mom. Like, but
yeah, I don't think they're protecting their serial killer grandma.
Nah, so. I don't think so either. Yeah. I don't think so either. But before we even dive down there, this is a prime example. There is a picture, if you look it up online, and it's actually a psychological thing. So here, let me turn on my psychology wheels for you real quick. I know you probably have seen this. There's a side-by-side photo, and there's a man, like they both have their hand behind their back, and there is a man standing there, and he looks really grungy and just kind of gross. And he looks like he could take a bath and that he needs a bath desperately. And then there's this little girl, and she looks so cute with her little pigtails and a cute little dress. And then it shows behind them, and he's holding a bouquet of flowers, and the little girl is holding an axe. And that whole point of the picture is to show you that you shouldn't be so quick to judge a book by its cover, and how looks can be deceiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we as people have this mentality of what good people look like,
yeah,
in a stereotypical way. Do you know what I mean?
oh,
And this
absolutely.
is a case that really shows you that monsters can be anybody, and it doesn't have to be the picture that you put in your mind as somebody grungy looking like the man in the picture. This is a really good example for that. So we're traveling to Russia, okay? And Miss
Yay!
Tamara Samsonova, which we're probably fucking it up, but that's all right. We're doing the best that we can. Was born on April 25th, 1947, which really bothers me that she's a Taurus like me. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like, that really bothers me. It gets me up in my feels.
Are you a killer grandma?
I'm not a killer grandma. I don't anticipate being a killer grandma.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I don't like to study them, nor have I dedicated my entire career to that. But I don't anticipate acting as a killer grandmother.
Okay.
But I will
You're safe.
study her. So,
as we already have.
All right. Yes. But Tamara, there's not a lot of, you can't really dig up a lot about her childhood. So we don't know anything as far as like siblings or, you know, childhood trauma. We don't know anything like that. But what we do know is Tamara actually went to college in Moscow. And after graduating, she moved to a place known as St. Petersburg. I don't know anything about geography as far as Russia.
It's not in Florida, guys.
No, it's not. We're not St. Petersburg, Florida. We are in St. Petersburg in Russia. And this is where she met her husband, Alexei Samsonova, okay, and they got married, right? And in 1971, they ended up moving into like a newly built apartment complex. I'm assuming that was also in St. Petersburg. I'm not entirely sure. It just said that they moved in that time, and it was like a newly built.
I don't think she ever moved out in all the research that I saw. I think she stayed put. Yeah.
But what's interesting is she obviously was intrigued by travel because she kind of worked for this like travel agency in a hotel, I guess, if that makes sense. And it was the Grand Hotel of Europe. Mm-hmm. And she worked there for like a total of 16 years. So she had extensive knowledge within like the hotel industry and traveling and all that. And life is grand, right? Like, I mean, everything seems fine and dandy. So we're going to the year 2000. We're fast forwarding. So she's been working. They're married. Life is grand. I don't know if they had children. I didn't come across anything that specified if they had children together. I don't guess that they had children together. God, I hope they didn't have children together.
But I don't think I came across anything about kids either.
I don't think that she did.
Yeah.
I hope that she did not reproduce. But, anywho, in 2000, Alexei disappears. And she reports this disappearance. And the police, you know, they get involved and they're looking. And they're not finding him anywhere. They're not finding anything out of the ordinary. And that was kind of it, which is really bizarre, right? Like, he just disappears.
Vanishes.
And I read... Yeah, just vanishes.
And she didn't seem to care.
Well, and see, I've read something like that she didn't seem like she reported it as he disappeared. And then I read something like she was kind of distraught and they just took it as something like, this is a man that's just decided he's just going to leave his wife. What do you do? You know what I mean? Like, so... It's kind of up in the air. It's, of course, this is something that happened in Russia, and there's not a lot of like historical documentation. If you look up things, you're going to get different things and whatnot. It's just trying to piece together what seems more factual and rational.
Especially back in the, you know, like at this point it was probably like 50s, 60s, you know.
Yeah. Well, again, we're in 2000, though.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. He disappeared in the year 2000, and she reports it. And I kind of think that they probably looked, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that they assumed it's a husband that got tired of his wife and decided he's going to go do his own thing. That's just me. But
yeah.
Anywho,
you don't want to go to the worst thing possibly happening to anybody.
Well, and again, it's Russia, so I don't know if their whole mentality is like the U.S. Like, obviously, if you went missing, the first person they're going to look at is Ryan. That's just how it is. The spouse is the first suspect in the United States. Yeah. Just throwing that out there. So
I'm going Gone Girl.
Don't. You can't do Gone Girl. I would get so stressed out. I would be so upset. Like, I'd be asking the girls, "Where's Ashley?" So, obviously, she's upset. She's not working in the hotel anymore, and she's decided that she wants to basically kind of like rent out the bedroom in her house, which isn't anything uncommon. That's not anything not normal. People do that all the time where they, advertise their room, like, rent this for $200 a month, whatever. I don't know how much she was charging.
Especially in bigger cities like New York. I know my brother lives in Seattle, and that's so common there.
Yeah, you see ads about it all the time, especially for like college students and stuff. That's not anything unusual. But she decides that she's going to basically rent out this room in her apartment, right? So we're going to September the 6th of 2003 now, okay? She got a tenant by the name of Sir Guy. I'm going to attempt to say this last name. Potanan, something like that. I know I'm probably not saying it right, but he was 44 years old. They got in a disagreement. We don't know what this disagreement was about. And instead of her walking away like we should, or telling him, this living arrangement's not going to work out for us, she killed him. We just went to straight, like...
I mean, if that's how you settle arguments...
That's how she settled hers. And she dismembered him. Yeah, we're going all like there's no things that lead up to this, by the way, in case sorry, I probably should have warned somebody.
It's brutal. It is brutal.
Yeah, we're getting a little brutal, but and there's no warning sign, so I couldn't kind of ease you into it. Sorry, but she dismembered him, and upon dismembering him, she just disposed his remains on the street. That's what kills me. Is she's just like, I'm just gonna go sprinkle this here and there, kind of thing. So now we're fast forwarding to 2015. Okay, so fast forward a few more years. This was in 2003 when this happened, and I'm imagining that she probably had more tenants during this gap of time. Okay,
absolutely.
So in 2015, remember the husband, Alexei, disappeared in the year 2000. So we're 15 years later. She contacts police again for some reason about the disappearance of her husband. And gets them involved to investigate. I don't think that anything really conspired of that, if that makes sense, but she provided a statement, and I dug really, really hard and tried to figure out what could she have told them 15 years later that would make a difference, that wouldn't make you look like a prime suspect for the disappearance. Like, to me, if you're coming to me years later as somebody that works in law enforcement and you're like, you know what, I remembered that I probably should tell you this, and it took you fucking 15 years to tell me, I think we have a problem. Like,
red flags are up.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's really weird, but I'll explain. We'll dive into more of that. Why that kind of... Right now, I know people are like, why would you just... 15 years later, it took you this long, but yeah. So March 2015. Okay.
Yes.
We're still in 2015. I don't know specifics as to when it was that she had went to the police to, give them whatever this statement was that she gave them in regards to Alexei disappearing, but I don't know if it was before or if it was after. I'm thinking it probably was beforehand, but yeah. So March 2015, Tamara meets a woman by the name of Valentina. and Valentina is 79 years old. Apparently, they were introduced with a mutual friend, and the mutual friend had talked to Valentina about allowing Tamara to stay with her because there was renovations going on in her apartment, which makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
And I would think that if you're having some form of renovations, you might just need to be there for like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops, like not very long at all. And she was fine with that. She was totally fine with that. And Tamara comes and she stays, and everything's going great. And she's being really helpful with housework and cooking and all the things. And I think I read something that Valentina kind of needed a little bit of assistance, if you will, being older as far as like her ADLs, you know, her everyday living. I don't know if it consisted with bathing or what it was, but she needed a little bit of help. So Tamara was kind of being like a caregiver in a sense to her. And Tamara's just living her best life. She's loving it there, and she's just decided she's just not gonna fucking leave. Like she's just gonna fucking stay there.
I swear, I did research and hold on. I don't want to like spoil anything if that's where you're going. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. Okay, so she doesn't want to leave, right? And Valentina's getting a little aggravated at this point, and she's kind of like, "I need you to go home. Like you've been here months. Like she wasn't like a 2 to 3 weeks. Like, she's been there for a while. Go to your own fucking house. Like, you know, if you want to come over and have tea with me later, that's fine. But this living arrangement's over with." And it caused them to get into like this big fight, right? And Tamara's pissed because Tamara doesn't. The voice just came in. Sorry if you hear the dog barking.
I was like, oh, your dogs are pissed too.
Yeah, they're pissed because
they're mad because she won't leave.
They're pissed because she won't leave the house. Exactly.
So one of the things I read, and I don't know if this was Valentina or if this was the man we already talked about that was renting a room, but she got into an argument with one of them over dirty cups. Like, that's how little.
Well, they did have disagreements about dirty cups, and they did have disagreements. Like
dirty cups, that's murder worthy.
We'll get into it. Don't worry. We'll dive more into the whole like neighbors hearing things and whatnot. So she, you know, again, they are having a disagreement. The normal thing would be like, you know what, I probably should go back to my own apartment. I'm sure they're done renovating whatever it was that they needed renovated, but I think I'm going to poison her. That seems like the rational thing to do. So I don't understand this, but I guess because I work in healthcare, and this every time I like read this and get ready to say it, it really pisses me off because it wouldn't surprise me if it's happened, but it shouldn't happen ethically. If that makes sense. But she ends up conning a pharmacist into selling her. I'm probably not going to say this right. It's Phenazepam, which is a drug for schizophrenics. Okay, it's an antipsychotic medication, and later on I'm going to dive.
Phenazepam. Sorry.
Yes.
I just see it spelled. Okay.
It is for schizophrenia. Obviously, if you are not schizophrenic, you do not need to be taking this medicine. It is an antipsychotic. So she buys these pills from this pharmacist. She decides she's going to buy Valentina's favorite food. I read something, it was like Oliver salad, but in other things I've heard them call it potato salad. So I don't know if maybe they call potato salad
interesting
Oliver salad there in Russia. I don't know. But she bought her favorite food. She crushed 50 of these motherfucking pills. She didn't do 2 or 3. She crushed motherfucking 50 pills. Put that in that food and fed it to her.
Jeez.
How she didn't taste any of that is beyond me. Like
she's old.
I know, but I feel like I would have been like, this salad tastes like shit, man. Like,
I think it's bad.
I would have been like, I think she's feeding me like bad food. Like, I think that this spoiled like 2 months ago, and she's trying to get me sick. I probably wouldn't have jumped to the conclusion this bitch is trying to poison me, but yeah.
She's trying to get me sick. Worse, Valentina, she's trying to kill you, ma'am.
Yeah. So at some point, I don't know if she went to bed. I don't know what happened, but she says that she found Valentina passed out on the kitchen floor. So she's still alive, to my understanding. There's still a pulse there.
It was like 2 or 2:30 in the morning. So from like dinner till like 2:30 in the morning, she was laying there.
Whatever time. Yeah. Well, I mean, if she ate all of that with 50 fucking pills, she probably was already going into like her. I would imagine that the body would be shutting down with that much, and you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely
overdose. But again, we don't know. We weren't there. But yeah. But hers, instead of being like, I probably should get her 911, and I hope this bitch learned her lesson. What do? We get 2 kitchen knives and a saw, and we're going to go to town, baby. And we start dismembering her while she's alive, mind you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It gets gruesome, guys.
Yes, so we're about to get kind of brutal right now. Just an FYI if you want to fast forward, because it's about to get nasty.
Well, they don't come here to not get to the nitty gritty of murder, right?
Yeah, right. Well, she didn't.
That's what they're here for.
She wasn't like, I'm going to start with the hands, everything. No, she went right here to the head, and she severed her head off. And at that point, after decapitating Valentina, she sawed the body in half, and she apparently seared pieces off of her. I didn't try to look up more graphic details because I didn't want my internet to be flagged by like the FBI as to why I'm looking up searing body parts or anything. You know what I mean? Like, but
oh god, I didn't think about that, and I did research to print off at work.
You're gonna be oh yeah, you're gonna have a meeting at HR tomorrow.
God.
They're gonna be like, we need to talk.
Yeah. You do need to tell something.
So she places the body parts, like different parts in bags. And she just decides, well, I need to take her out. Right? Like I gotta dispose of these remains. She's making many trips in and out. It's important to recognize that she's going in and out with these bags. Okay. And it's, oh my gosh, there's footage of her carrying a soup pot. There's a lid on it. Okay. We'll talk about that here in a moment.
Like she lives in an apartment building. So like, it's like a stairwell that spirals down kind of. And there's cameras in the stairwells that are catching her doing this stuff.
Yeah. In the moment.
Yeah.
Well, she did go a few days without getting caught. This happened on July 23rd when she murdered Valentina. So July 26th, somebody notices something by the pond that probably shouldn't be there, and out of curiosity, they go and look at it, and it's a decapitated body, a torso there, wrapped up in a shower curtain, and they're like, well, that's not something you see on a day-by-day basis. I probably should report that. So
no.
But what's weird is it's not even that far away from the apartment complex. It's like by a pond.
Yeah, she just didn't put any effort.
No.
Yeah.
Which again we'll dive into more here in a few. But it's like right basically next to the apartment complex. So they go into police are going in and they're surveying people, and knocking on doors and like, have you what have you heard? What have you seen? Well, when they get to Valentina's apartment, Tamara is still there. That's why like she must have really liked this apartment. Like, so Tamara is still there, and they immediately notice blood splatter, and they go in, and they were able to put 2 and 2 together because there's not a shower curtain there. So they're like, something tells me that you did this. So they immediately arrested Tamara. Okay,
it's like leaving car parts at a freaking hit and run.
I know what people are thinking. They're probably like, is this it? This is all you, but don't worry. There's more. Like, don't worry, there's more. So she obviously has been arrested. They're like, this isn't normal, right? So they decide they're going to order her a psychiatric evaluation, right? Because people don't just dismember people, okay? Like, that's not normal behavior at all. And obviously, I bet you guys couldn't guess this. They deemed her to be a harm to herself and other people. I bet she wasn't anticipating that ruling.
I was not. I was
You
shocked to
wasn't.
read.
You
I was
figured
so shocked.
they was going to be like, she's fine. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah,
She's fine. She can walk the streets. But no, they deem her, obviously she is a danger to herself and others. And the reason I say it like that is, in psychiatric care, part of being basically forced into a psychiatric facility, you have to be deemed a danger to yourself or danger to other people. I mean, there's
yeah.
other criteria that has to be met with that too, but those are your two big ones. And obviously she was a danger to all the things. Like, don't let her near your animals or anything. Like, she's just a danger to everything. So they then go to Tamara's apartment where she should be staying. And this is where they find her diary. And in the diary, there are all of these confessions, right? She basically was documenting all these murders in very graphic detail. Obviously, like, if you pull it up, it's going to be wrote in Russian, but there's English translation for some of the things. And I mean, she talks about just like killing some of these tenants that she had, and how she would go into graphic detail about dismembering them. But what was interesting in some of these writings, she was also talking about being a famous dancer, and then just like random things, right?
Like, she went to, like, Russia had a very well-known, humongous ballet school. She said she went there, and she was she was into acting and dancing, and yeah, the whole nine.
She did talk some about the hotel business, and she even would tell people.
Well, she retracted her story and then went to that.
Yeah, she's a little bit all over the place, which we'll dive more into. But they, in the apartment, aside from finding the diary with all these writings, they also found a torso. Like, she'd held on to some body parts. They discovered, remember we talked about the soup pot with the lid on it. And they believe that it's very well possible. I don't know if they ever found Valentina's head or not, to be honest, but they believe that it's very well possible that that had her head in it. There was talk of, get ready, it's going to be a little bit gross, cannibalism. So it's believed that she was actually cooking some of these, hence talking about the severing, and eating these. And that's what makes this case so interesting, is you don't really hear a lot about female cannibals, much less females that dismember. I think that when you get into dismemberment, that's a very personal thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just like a really personal attack. But again, we don't really have a lot of back history about her, but there's no warning signs for any of this, other than the fact that it is documented that Tamara did have a history of mental illness, and she had been in psychiatric facilities before. Apparently, she had been diagnosed as schizophrenia. Now, I don't want people to hear that and think that all people that have schizophrenia are that violent, because that's not the case. No. I've worked with many schizophrenics who function very well on a day-by-day basis. And then I have worked with some that we get them to their baseline and they still are responding to internal stimuli as well as external stimuli. It really depends. But if you are someone that is not med compliant, it's going to escalate.
Yeah.
But with her age, I wanted to touch base on that. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing her at all, but I'm just giving my professional opinion with what I work, with my experience and whatnot. She's 68 years old when this is happening. Yeah. And she's recanting things, and she's kind of talking about, like what you said, ballet school, and then working at the hotel in this. Part of me wonders, and you can have a psychotic disorder and then later on develop dementia. So is she getting dementia during, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a thought. I food for thought.
I mean, it would make sense of the diary. I don't know. There's so many different realms of dementia as well. And her childhood, like, I don't know if they just don't document everything like we do. I don't know if they're just not as obsessed with serial killers like we are, or wanting to learn them or study them, or, but like you said, there wasn't a lot on her history to where we could have kept an eye out for that stuff. Like, we don't, most of the time, they have really, really shitty like a shitty childhood. We don't know. Or was it she had a great upbringing but just had mental disorders and they struggled with her? We have no idea.
No, we don't, and that's the thing. But I would be very curious to know. So schizophrenia is typically a genetic thing, and usually genes tie into that. Somebody in your family has had it before. They might not have been diagnosed, but I guarantee you that they had it.
Yeah.
And so I'd be very curious to know what her parents were like.
Yeah.
Again, Russia handles things a lot different than what we do here in the United States. But I wanted to bring that up just because the going back and forth. But again, with schizophrenia, if she was like a full blown paranoid schizophrenic, which paranoia is a big trait of schizophrenia, it's very well possible that she could, with the paranoia, I'm going to disguise my career. Like, you know what I mean? Do you get where I'm going with this? Like, yeah. I'm going to disguise this with this. And because if I tell them this, and if she's hearing things, because I think that everyone thinks that all schizophrenics have the same type of hallucinations, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
You could be a schizophrenic that has visual hallucinations and not have auditory, or vice versa, or you could have both. It just really depends. I wish they would put it on a spectrum, but I doubt that will ever happen. But it makes you wonder, and I wanted to bring that up because when they arrest her, and obviously like the media gets a hold of this, and it's you don't hear of a 68-year-old woman dismembering people in their apartment. That's not something you see every day, so they jump on it. She is blowing kisses at the reporters, and she blows kisses at the judge, and she's waving, and she's also laughing inappropriately. But of course, my little mental health person, I know people were talking about that, and I'm like, well, if she's schizophrenic, it's very well possible that she's hearing things that we're not hearing, and to her it is funny. She might not necessarily, I know it sounds like I'm taking up for her, but I'm not condoning the behavior, but it's very well possible that she's just laughing to internal stimuli.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Bizarre. Yeah, and it did get big because I'm pretty sure it hit news over here.
It did hit news over here. And but I didn't know about it until, I don't want to say the person that me and Ash have been working on that we plan on doing, but I don't want to give any hints to it. Just know it's a big case and there's a lot to it. So when I was looking up specific things, I stumbled across this, and I told Ash, I was like, what kind of fuckery is this? Like, I was like,
she texted me.
Real.
Yeah, she texted me and she was like, okay, listen, I'm super invested in this one, but it's a big one. And I need to put things in chronological order because that's just how Jody functions. And it makes more sense for you guys. So she's like, we're going to put him on the back burner so we can give him as much time as we need. And we're going to do this. And she was like, I stumbled upon it, and this is just crazy.
It is crazy. But so they talked to some of her neighbors. I wanted to pinpoint that out, and this is where the disagreements and stuff kind of come into play. And they were like, well, it made me think of the Jeffrey Dahmer case, because they were like, well, we heard stuff, and we would hear disagreements. So we're shocked that this has happened, but we're not surprised. And it's like, what kind of fucking statement is that? Like, we're shocked that it happened, but we're not surprised. I'm sorry. If I hear shit like that coming from next door, I'm fucking calling the police. Like, that's just, again, Russia's completely different. But now, there's also been talk about the fact that and I think in Russia, like, witchcraft and things are really a big thing, and which is fine if you're utilizing it in the manner that you should.
Yeah.
But it's been like painted that she was doing this as sacrifices, or there's so much different things that they've called her. I can't think of what the Russian word is for witch, but they've talked
I
about
saw that.
But she,
yeah.
They also showed something in her diary where she did talk about occult things. But again, I can't help but immediately go to like schizophrenia, because it's not anything uncommon for me to get somebody who has like these paranoid delusions that I might be part of this like cult that just really wants to do harm to them. So I don't necessarily know that she was actually doing like legit sacrifices with the intent of it being a sacrifice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
She might have been thinking that she was doing that, but I don't think that really, you know what I mean? Like, I think she could have been acting upon these delusions.
Oh, 100%.
And again, I'm not condoning the behavior at all, but back to the whole medication aspect, when you hear that she was in mental institutions and she was diagnosed with this disorder, and she happens to have, go to a pharmacist and buy schizophrenic medication, they like con them into doing that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder, was she prescribed this medicine and she was just like, I don't want to take this and I'm going to give it to you instead? I mean,
Jesus, that's 50 pills? Like, what? I mean...
But Russia does things different.
Yeah. I was like, God, you probably couldn't even get more than 30 days here.
Well, I mean, obviously we do offer pill form, but
But we don't know our dosage. Yeah.
No, we don't overdose it. And a lot of people have a tendency, especially with the paranoia and whatnot, we're more likely to give you a long-acting injection than what we would as far as having you try to remember to take a pill every day.
Yeah.
And you just go to a clinic once a month, and just go get your shot. But so that's why, again, they do stuff different. And I know in other countries, like some medications that we would have to have a prescription for, you don't have to have a script for.
Yeah.
And you can just buy that over the counter, especially like in Europe and stuff. But antibiotics, that's just easily accessible at any time, whereas we have to have a freaking script for everything. But I don't know. It just made me kind of think that I feel like she had this medicine because she is I do believe that she probably does have schizophrenia.
Made it easier.
She had this medicine, and she was just like, I haven't been taking my meds, so I'm just going to use this. And it kind of makes me think that she probably was drugging some of her other victims.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But apparently, like, she would write about it. That's how we know that's how these things happen. Like what Ash was talking about. She would get mad and like hit the radiator, and they'd get like disagreements over a dirty cup, or if you didn't pick up your laundry, or just bonkers shit that I could understand you would get frustrated about, like if you're not picking up after yourself or whatever. But I wouldn't kill somebody over it.
Yeah. So finding her diary, it gave us all the juicy details. Yeah. It wasn't a smart thing on her end.
No, it wasn't. But again, I wonder why she wrote about it. Like, I wonder what that did for her. People that, most serial killers have a tendency to keep things from their victims, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they keep jewelry, or they hair,
yeah.
Or, things, and that's their way of reliving that because they get some type of like thrill out of it. So did she write about it as a means to get a thrill, like go back and reread?
That's a good question. Or like, what is she doing with this information? But what the information did provide us is it went back and it linked her to a lot of other cold cases. 14, I believe it was. It linked her to 14 different murders.
Yeah, I didn't. And the thing is, like, you can't pull all the names because I tried.
Yeah,
more
it's
information.
Super scarce. It just gives you numbers.
Yeah, it just gives you numbers, but it linked her to a bunch. And with all that being said, they think that it's very well possible that she is she's probably responsible for the fact that Alexi disappeared.
Yeah.
And that they didn't find anything.
Which I feel like she confessed. Didn't she confess, but that's all they had?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure it was all said and done
or not. I don't know if anything else was ever like said.
I don't know either
about that. But the whole like timeline thing, like what we talked about earlier, where 15 years goes by, and then she decides that she is going to go say something about it. If she had been non-med compliant, like if she just up and stopped taking her meds one day and starts getting all these like different things, that could explain that, starting of bizarre, unusual behavior.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But it is. It's really interesting. And I just want to reiterate, I wouldn't like saying that she has dementia at all because there's no documentation of that. I just want to like pinpoint on that just because with her age, I mean, she's at that age where she could have that. Just because you have one mental illness doesn't mean that you can't develop another.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
I think a lot of people get fixated on, oh, you have this or, oh, you have that. You can have multiple illnesses, and yeah.
And then
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was probably going the exact same place as you. Go ahead.
Well, obviously she was deemed not competent whatsoever, and she's I don't know how their whole justice system works there, as I'm assuming that she probably got what we refer to as not guilty reason of insanity, because she's not in a jail cell. She is in a psychiatric facility somewhere in Russia. I don't know where. And
forever.
Yeah, she will never be released. She'll end up dying in there. But what's really weird is she also talked about that too, that how one day she'll be caught and that she will, just die in the system, which is really bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is our story on Miss Tamara Samsonova. I know it wasn't like a whole lot, but I thought that it would be interesting to talk about.
Well, it did the trick, giving us 10 minutes with the girls before we pull the spirit box out to speak to them and ask what they think. Fun little fact, and I know most of Jody's followers, a lot of us have kids, and they all got into those games on the phone. There's one called Grandma or something or it has a grandma where they walk around a really dark house and you gotta avoid.
Yeah, Colin and Carson have talked about that.
It is based on her.
Huh? What?
Yes. Yeah. I did a bunch of research and multiple sources have said that game is based on her.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
That kind of grosses me out in a weird way.
Yeah. At first I was like, is it Hello Neighbor? But no, you get that creepy neighbor. I don't know what that game is called.
I don't know how I feel about that game either. Like, I think I made Colin Carson quit playing it because it just,
but I don't remember what the grandma one is, but I remember Jaden watching YouTube videos about it. But
interesting.
Yes, but let's ask the girls what they think on this lovely grandma.
Lots of questions. Yes. Well, shoot.
Oh, we did not mention, however, that Valentina, when she did we mention that she boiled the head?
We talked about her
putting it in a pot. Yeah, okay.
But she did.
That was a fun fact, so I just wanted to make sure it was reiterated.
Sorry. So just in case she didn't get enough of the gruesome details in the beginning, she totally boiled her head.
Yeah. Gross.
So, and also, we forgot to mention, she claimed in her cannibalism, her favorite thing to eat was the lungs.
Yeah, I did read that. Disgusting.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that she took out of her victims, was the lungs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just so you know, in case you didn't get enough of the grossness or whatever. I was trying to keep it light, but Ashley's like, oh yeah, did we mention that the head got boiled?
We're going to get into it. We got to give them stuff.
Absolutely. She's an interesting character.
Yeah.
But of course, my little mental health advocate in me is like, if only she would have just stayed on her meds, none of this would have happened.
I fully agree. I've got medical background myself, so I definitely agree. If she was prescribed or diagnosed is where that comes into play.
Oh, do you think that she was prescribed what do you think my theory, what I was talking about, like with the medicine?
It's not far-fetched, but we have no proof that she was already diagnosed. We don't have any proof that she was on or prescribed medication, so we don't know. But if she was, she should have been on it.
Yeah, she should have been taking them fucking pills instead of drugging Valentina. Like, yeah. All right. So, as you all know, we're going to bring the girls in, of course, with the spirit box. Sometimes some of the things that they say doesn't make sense, but understand it does take a lot of energy for them to be able to communicate in this mechanism. So, but we're going to ask them what their opinion is. I always love getting them in. And everybody seems to love that they're included. Yeah, they're great. All right, here we go. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Good. Hey, ladies. Yeah, did you hear him? Yeah. Hey, so what do you think about Tamara Samsonova?
Swear it sounded like savage.
I thought I heard something. Oh, I wish. Dumb. I heard dumb. So, we have a lot of unanswered questions about that case. Man, I don't know what they said there, but so do you guys think that those pills were prescribed to her? No.
No, that was clear.
That was a really clear no. So no. So my theory is incorrect. Did she really crush all 50? Ew, I heard ew.
I did hear ew.
I don't know what that was. I heard me. That was really clear too, but I don't know what that was.
I thought I heard a guy voice say gone.
Gone. You probably did. All right, I know Ashley's wanting to know, did she boil Valentina's head? Did she? Ew, did you hear ew?
Ew.
They don't like that, Ash.
They're not feeling the murder today.
They're like, ew. Well, they're probably really grossed out. Yeah, they said yeah. Did she really eat the lungs? What?
We're shocked too, ladies.
No.
No.
No. I heard that's sick. That's what.
That's what it sounded like. That voice is my favorite. I know.
They're like, that's sick.
Did she eat any body part?
Did she eat any body part? They keep saying Udi.
I don't know.
They're so grossed out. They're so. Ew. Do you hear them? They're just like, ew.
I know. They're not ready for Dahmer.
I don't think that y'all don't like the Tamara case, do you? No. They're like, no, we don't like this one. We don't. Okay, can we ask more questions? Yep.
Yes, I did hear it. Okay.
Yeah, yep. Hey, so do you think that she had a mental illness? Yes.
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 Do we think she was schizophrenic?
Do you think that she was schizophrenic? No, they said no.
Wow.
They think she was mentally ill, but they don't think she was a schizophrenic. But that doesn't. So.
Goodness.
I know. I think they're just so disgusted with her at this point. They're like, they're like, that's sick. Like.
Well, we'll spare them some more gruesome details.
Well, I need to know, is Tamara responsible for her husband's disappearance? Probably. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Really clear. Yes.
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 Well.
Okay. Can I ask the first question again? Not really. They're like. I just want to know she dismembered him too. I heard split. Gross. I don't know what that one was. Sister.
Sound like they were trying to sing.
I have no idea. I think they're done. Are you guys done? Yeah, they're done. All right, thank you, ladies. I'm sorry that we grossed you out.
Well, that was episode 6. Tamara Samsonova.
And the girls hate her.
In the words of Jody, she's a gem. Yeah.
Yeah, the girls are so disturbed right now. Like,
she was gross.
They're like, this shit's disgusting.
She's gross. I mean, so like I feel like she's up there with Dahmer, kind of. So, but Russia can keep her. So, because we have plenty.
Yeah, we can keep her.
So, well, that's it for Murder Therapy with Dolltok. Right here in the center, you'll find all the platforms we are on that you can find us on. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Comment what you think. Give us tips. Suggest cases you want us to look into. If you're not on a phone and you can scan that QR code, please do so. It'll take you to all of our stuff. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you so much for your guys' support. Like I said, it's only going to get better from here, so.
Yes, thank you guys. We love you so much.
We love you. Follow us, like, subscribe, comment.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.